The Donald J. Trump crime syndicate is going scorched earth to eradicate, among a whole list of other things, transgender people. Transgender for everyone, he declares. During the campaign, his stump speeches always pounded away at sending your little boy off to school in the morning only to see a little girl come home at the end of the day, because we all know that the entire process of gender reassignment only takes, what, 6 hours? Oh yeah, and Trump loves to tell his offensive little story about transgender weightlifters. Check this out.
Weightlifting, where they have a record that wasn't broken in 18 years, and they have, should I imitate it? You know, my wife gets very upset when I do this. She said, darling, it's not presidential. I said, yeah, but people like it. Should I do it or not? All right, I'm in trouble when I get home, but that's okay. What the hell? I've been in lots of trouble before. But no, you look at the weightlifting where 18 years it stands, and they have this young woman, and her parents are right where you are in the front row, and they're so proud of her, and it's like 209 pounds, and she's going to lift that. The record stood for 18, think of it, 18 years, and they put an eighth of an ounce here, and an eighth of an ounce here, little tiny little bit, and she's gonna do it. Mom, I love you. I'm gonna do it for you, Mom. And she goes, and she lifts, and she gets it, and Mom, I'm gonna do it, Mom. Can't do it. And then a guy comes along, or a gal, or whatever. A transitioned person comes along. And he was a failed weightlifter as a man, but he comes along, 206 pounds. They put the little thing on, and he goes, boom, boom. And breaks the record like by 119 pounds.
Meanwhile, the mainstream media continues to pretend that this severe and persistent mental patient is somehow normal. Anyway, I need to start with a full disclosure. I am not now, nor have I ever been transgendered. So while I'm talking about this, you might want to keep a block of salt handy. We are starting with the premise that I don't know what I'm talking about, but that never stopped me before, so let's get into it. I'm gay, and as such, trans people are my siblings, my chosen family. They're my brothers and sisters. I count myself among them, and although I'll never know what it's like to live my life as a transgender person, I do have at least a point of reference to help me understand what that must be like. You see, when I was a little kid, for a long time, I wanted to be a girl, and that led to some pretty embarrassing moments in my young life. I talk about that at length in my childhood memoir, Searching for St Germaine, available to order wherever books are sold. Links in the description below. This is very likely the best book that you haven't read yet. All of the reviews so far agree with me on that. Get your copy today. It's available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. Okay, thanks for listening to that. I was a little kid in the 50s and 60s, and at the time there was only one transgender person in the world that was widely known. Her name was Christine Jorgensen, and I put a link to her Wikipedia page in the description below. If you're trans, you should know about her if you don't already. She was the pioneer of the life that you lead today. Hers are the historical shoulders that you're standing on right now. She was an actress, and when she wasn't busy actressing, she was the original gangster of trans activists. Christine Jorgensen is widely regarded as the first out and proud trans woman ever. Even if you're not trans, you should at least know about her anyway. Now, in my case, it turned out to be provident that the psychological and medical communities weren't very keen on the idea of gender reassignment surgery for kids back when I wanted to be a little girl. The reason why I say it was provident is because it wasn't until I was a junior in high school that I discovered my dick. Now, of course, I was aware that I had an appendage down there as far back as when I was like 2 or 3. But I didn't understand why people masturbate until I was in high school. When I discovered my dick, the idea of being a girl slowly and progressively evaporated into my background, where, for me, it belonged. In hindsight, I never wanted to actually be a girl. I wasn't gender dysphoric. I just wanted to be anything other than what I was. I wanted to live some other kind of life because mine sucked so badly, and I guess I picked that as my way out of living my own life. When you read my book, Searching for St Germaine, you'll get it. The fact is that I was never gender dysphoric, but lots of people in my family are, and they shouldn't be tortured because of it, and they certainly shouldn't have their civil rights stripped away. That's none of the government's business. The reason why the Magapublican Party pretends that it is their business is because they want you and I to keep fighting each other so that we won't notice the power that we have to do something about that. Which leads me to this. I have no problem with anyone who feels uncomfortable in their own body making changes to it so that they can be comfortable. That body belongs to them and they can pretty much do whatever they want with it. But I don't exactly fancy gender affirming medical care for minors. And I'm aware that it's likely because of my own lived experience. However, I will defend it. I will defend it for two reasons. First, because it's none of my business. I'm not gender dysphoric. I'm not a parent or a guardian of someone who is, and I'm not a medical or a psychological professional. It's just none of my business. And second, because these people are my family, of course I'm going to defend them. Behind closed doors, I might want to counsel against it, as a private family matter. But when the rubber hits the road, I'm going to stand up for us because this is my family. So Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller and Linda McMahon, the lot of you can sit down and shut the hell up. This is none of your business. And I don't want any of you within 500 yards of my family. Particularly you, Pete Hegseth, with your shooting up service members with testosterone if they're not toxically masculine enough for you. You need to take an extra seat and spend some time working on your internalized homophobia. Maybe you're due for a different kind of injection, if you know what I mean. But the whole subject of gender reassignment, child or adult, is the same thing as abortion. It's none of the government's business. The decision to make any surgical alteration should be made by the person seeking the surgery, maybe their family, their God if they have one, and their doctor. That is it. Surgical alterations, even on children, have always been commonplace. I had a circumcision shortly after being born. Thank God I don't remember that. And I do remember being so excited about the doctor encouraging me to eat all the ice cream I could stand when they took my tonsils out. My brother Mike had his appendix removed too when he was a toddler. The government didn't have to be involved with any of that. Magapublicans, they don't have a problem with surgical procedures done on children, and they never have. In fact, surgical procedures are common in the United States regardless of age, gender, race, or anything else. There are surgeons living in mansions that they built in Brentwood and the West Hills exclusively on the surgical procedures that they performed on people with too much money and not enough self-esteem. Why do Magapublicans suddenly have a problem with these two specific procedures, abortion and gender reassignment? I think the answer is pretty obvious. But what gets me most is that all of this is coming from Christians. Wait, let me be more specific. I have friends who are Christian and they find this crap as abhorrent as I do. No, I'm talking about a specific branch of Christianity. The elitist ones, the ones who think they're better than everyone else because Jesus. That's silly. Everyone knows that the chosen people of God are the Jews. Don't believe me? Just ask them. They'll tell you. It's in their tagline, for heaven's sake. The chosen people of God. Try to keep up. I'm talking about the white supremacist Christian nationalist branch of Christianity, the Magapublican Party. These folks are not followers of Jesus Christ. I'm not sure what they are, but I can tell you this. Not one of them can show me a chapter or verse anywhere in the Bible that condemns abortion or gender reassignment. Not one of them. In fact, I can make a cogent argument that the Bible doesn't condemn loving same-sex relationships either, but that's a discussion for another day. Let's not do that today, okay? For today, I am laying claim to the fact that the Magapublican Party has no religious, spiritual, scriptural, or constitutional basis for the malicious discrimination that they inflict on decent, law-abiding human beings every single day. I am laying claim to the fact that the Magapublican Party's primary objective is the acquisition of power to be used to protect morbidly wealthy pedophiles from accountability for their actions and to defraud you out of your money in the process. And with that, I'm GL Franklyn for The View from Out Here. Much love.